I'm gonna be real, this is probably the dumbest idea I've had so far. Numbers! Numbers! Everyone knows numbers. If you don't know numbers. But what if you made a tier list of the numbers? And that's what we're doing today, folks. I don't even know what to say. We're just gonna get into this. 0. Not even a number, technically. But I think that kind of like mystery element makes it all interesting. And 0 is kind of just the one that carries all the bigger numbers. You get to like the hundreds, the thousands. There's a lot of zeros there. So I think because of that like mystery, it's not even a number. It's just kind of there to show the absence of a number. And that's cool as hell. So 0, straight on up to S tier. Great job, 0. And then for actual numbers, I think 1 is just a really weak opener. Because it's just a line. And that's really boring. Not a lot going on here, writing wise. It's a line, and there's not even anything interesting about 1. Everything else has something interesting, but not 1. So I think, it's bland, and there could be better ways to open up with, actual numbers. So 1 gets D tier. And then 2, it really picks up. And 2, there's a lot of things that come in 2s. Socks, eyes, ears, a lot of things. That, and I think the 2 kind of lays the groundwork for how all the numbers are written, because they have the curvy parts, the straight part on the bottom. It's a nice balance of the different ways to write numbers, and I think it really does kind of show what 1 should have been doing. So I think this one, I guess like B tier. It's solid, nothing too remarkable, but it's a great number, and it's what other numbers should be taking after. And then 3, I think 3 is really good. I really like 3. What I'm thinking about 3, just is very curvy. That's the thing about 3, is that not many numbers are as curvy as 3 is. So I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty unique. It's a unique thing for a number to have. And 3, magic number. Shout out De La Soul. 3's a crowd. 3's company. A lot of 3s all over the place. The more you pay attention, you see a lot of 3s. Blade too. 333. Fire album, by the way. I'll give 3 8s here. Just because I don't think it's on the same level that 0 is, but it's pretty good. 0 is going to be pretty hard to follow. That's why it's in S tier. And then 4, 4 is just like, that's good stuff too. I like 4, man. I don't even know what to say. Wendy's, 4 for 4. There's 4 corners of a square, of a rectangle. Quadrilaterals, all quadrilaterals have 4 corners, 4 sides, 4 everything. So 4 is very versatile, I feel. And it's a little divisive. 4 is a little controversial because there's a couple different ways to write it. Comment down below if you write 4s with the diagonal or with the straight line. I want to know this actually, because I write a little bit of both actually, but more often than not I do the one with the straight line. Because of like the controversy behind it, I wouldn't give 4 an S tier. I would probably just bump it down to A tier. 5, oh my god, I've been waiting to talk about 5. I don't know. Something about 5. It's an odd number, but it feels like it's even, Kind of because how it plays into like, 5 times 2 is 10. That kind of builds off of each other. And that makes it feel more even than other even numbers, which is really weird. But high 5, you got 5 fingers, 5 toes. You can't see my foot. That's probably for the better. 5, man, it's 5. It's just so, 5 is iconic. Some of the other numbers you're like, yeah, that's fine. But 5? Oh my god. I think 5 is going to be our second S tier. That's what I'm thinking here. 6 is like, that's like the devil's number. That's the thing about 6. It's all right, but it's like, it's got that like connotation with like Satan. It's like not something you want to associate with. You know what I'm saying? If 6 is your favorite number, then I'd strongly suggest you like reconsider. It's not the worst thing in the world. So I would give it like C tier. 7, oh yeah, due to recent events, 6 and 7 are both being docked by some points also. I should mention, if it was my call here, I would have them both in S tier but just the general populace doesn't really like that meme as much as I do, but whatever, man. They're not brain rotted like I am. Anyways, yeah, 7, overrated as hell. It's like everyone's favorite number. If you ever met someone and their favorite number is 7, they're basic as hell, I think. But also, 7 is kind of cool because if you ever have a 6-sided die, each of the like opposite sides will add up to 7, and I think that's a cool little Easter egg. You don't really pay attention to the numbers on the dice like that. So 7, I'll put it with 6 in C tier. 8 on the other hand, woo, 8 is like 8's pretty good. It's like same with 3. It's like there's not many numbers that are curvy like that, man. It's a special number. For that reason, I don't know, I'll put it up high. Probably not with like 0 though. That's the thing, is that 0 and 5 are like, they're in that like stratosphere area of numbers where it's like the best number. But you know, I don't know if 8 kind of lives up to the hype pushed by like 0 and 5, so I wouldn't really put it up that high with them. But you know, like figure 8, it's like a shape. There's a track in Mario Kart that's figure 8, and it's so tough. Oh, Mario Kart 8 also, if you ever get the 8 item in that game, and it's just like all the items in the game at once, I think that's pretty cool. I would give 8 an A tier, I think. It could have an argument potentially for S tier. And then 9, 9 is a tough one. Because, you know, 9 is like the last single number before you get to the double digits, but I feel like it doesn't really close off as much as it should be doing. It's a good, like, closing number for the single digits, but, you know, it's like, it should be like legend status, but it isn't. You know, you have like 3 times 3, and, you know, they're saying on cloud 9, and that's all 9 really has going for it. It's not like everything it stacks up to be, and it's a good way to send off the kind of, the single digits, but you know, it's not the best ever. And I think also because it's similarity to 6, you know, if you ever like play a board game or whatever, and then or on cards too, 6 and the 9 are the same, just flipped upside down, and I feel like that could cause a lot of confusion. Me personally, I write my 9s with a straight line out the bottom to avoid that confusion. I feel like it helps out a lot. I would give it like B tier, because I like 9, it's just there's so much more that there should be. And then 10, that's fine. I mean, whatever. I don't really know. 10, like 10 fingers, but what are we there's 5 fingers. High 5, we touched on that with 5. 10 is kind of just an extension of 5, and it doesn't really have much originality because of that. And I don't know if I want to put it up high because of that. And there is like, you know, $10 bill. It's the first double-digit number also. First double-digit dollar bill. That's fine, honestly. It's not great. It's not terrible. And it's a good way to measure time also. Like, oh, it's 10 minutes till 7. Something like that. So, yeah, people ask you what time it is. It's good for that. It's good for money, I guess. Because a lot of things they'll sell in 10s. So it lays that framework to build off of, you know, like 20, 30, 40, 50. But I feel like 10 just by itself isn't really much. For that reason, I'd give it like, actually, I don't know, it might be important. I would give it like A tier, I guess. High B, low A tier. Just keep that in mind. 11 is an interesting one because it's the first number that's just 2 of the same number, and you know how much I don't really like 1. I was talking about that earlier, and 11 is just kind of 1 twice, and I don't really get it. I don't see the hype behind this one. It's not really that good. It is cool multiplying by 11 until you get to that point where it like spills over, and then, you know, you get the weird ones like 11 times something is like 121, something like that. I can't remember the times tables off my head. For those of you who do remember the times tables off your head, I applaud you. It's fine, I guess. And I guess because it is a double-digit number, it does bring it a step above 1. So for that reason, I would give it C tier. 12 is really good. I like 12. You know, a dozen. There's a lot of things that come in dozens. You don't really pay attention to how much the number 12 is around you. I feel like, you know, we should be paying attention to that more because, like, there's a lot of things that come in 12s. Like, the hours of the day are split into 2 groups of 12, except for your weirdos that use, like, military time. I don't know why you do that. And then, you know, there's, like, eggs. There's, like, pastries and stuff. You know, you go, like let me get a dozen muffins, something like that, and then a baker's dozen. We'll get into that here in a minute. Months of the year are in 12. There's a lot of things that come in 12 we don't really think about here, and there's a lot in play. So I don't know, 12 is pretty significant, and you think about it, it's just 1, 2, and I think they're able to take 2 numbers that are all right and make them into something great. I think for that, 12 is our third S tier. 13. 13's a tough one because, you know, 13's like an urban legend, dude. It's, I don't know. 13 is the king Von of numbers, I think. You know, 13, this number is so unlucky that if you ever go to a hotel or another really tall building, they straight up just won't have a floor 13 in there. It's that bad. And I should have touched on that with 4 because I think in like China they consider 4 unlucky because it sounds like death, and that makes more sense than 13. I don't really get why 13 is unlucky. I need to research that. I wasn't really prepared for all this number talk. The baker's dozen also, like I was talking about a minute ago. 13 has a good side to it. There's a good side and an evil side. It's just, in this case, the evil outweighs the good. So for that reason, I would give 13 like B tier. And if it wasn't as evil, it would be an S tier, believe me. It just has a great ring to it also. You know, with the 10s, the 1's up in front, so there's not really that much great starting out. But then the numbers, I feel like the 1 is more of a complemental, that's not a word, yo. But it kind of more just complements the other number in the number, but it complements that instead of just being great on its own. And I feel like that's pretty good for a number like 1 that doesn't really have that much going for itself. 14 is like weird because I think it's the first number of the 10s that doesn't really have anything unique going for itself. Like, it's just a number, and it's like 2 times 7. That is pretty cool. That's a cool like multiplication thing right there. But 14, you don't see anything in groups of 14, and that's a little weird, especially considering, you know, it's divisible by 2, so you could have 2 rows of 7 in a package for, like, you know, hot dogs or something, but they come in like 8 or 12. I've never seen hot dogs come in 14s, so I don't really know about all that. I think 14, it's not remarkable, it's just fine, and I feel like the 4 and the 1 don't really clash all that well together, so I would say this might be our second D tier, I'll be honest. I'm taking a lot of time for this. This next one's our last one. 15. I don't really know. I'm stuck on this one. It kind of plays into that 5 also. So it's like 5, 10, 15. So 15 divided by 3, 5 times 3. It's a cool little system they have going there. But I feel like this is the weakest of those 3 numbers. Or 10 might be the weakest, actually. I think, yeah. This one is in between 5 and 10 for me. So it's in the middle of those. You don't really see a lot coming in 15s either. It kind of has that little 14 effect. Shoot, I'm out of things to say, honestly. So I would just give 15, it's respectable. I would give it A tier. And here's the final tier list. As you can see, there's no F tier or nothing, because that's kind of stupid. You know, every number is important and it's alright. And even though I do hate 1, you gotta respect 1, you know. It puts that first foot forward for the numbers, so that's great. That's it. Alright. Welp. It's time for me to go. That's all the numbers I could rattle through. I just talked about numbers for 20 minutes. That's a little embarrassing. There's gonna be some that's just me sitting there thinking about what I'm saying also. So this video is probably shorter than that, but whatever. That was kind of fun, honestly. I might do a part 2 now. Leave your favorite number in the comments below, and it'll be in part 2. Goodbye.